B.C. Rich is a manufacturer of guitars and bass guitars founded by Bernardo Chavez Rico in 1969. Currently, most B.C. Rich guitars are manufactured in Asia, but luthiers at the company's custom shop continue to handmade instruments. The Hanser Music Group, based in Kentucky, USA, operates B.C. Rich. As of 2001, no member of the Rico family is involved in the company. Design and types. Seagull equals. A somewhat odd design, ostensibly based on a toilet seat shape, this guitar was designed by Bernie Rico. It was a stage favorite of guitarist Dick Wagner, who played the lead guitar work on Aerosmith's remake of Train Kept A-Rollin', and Dream On. Initially the pickups were Gibsons, rewired as four-conductor and potted, later Guild pickups were treated the same way. In 1975 Di Marzio agreed to build potted, four-conductor pickups for B.C. Rich, and they were used until BCR began designing their own in the late 80s. Early in the 70s Neil Moser was brought on board to design and supervise the electronics. His contribution was the iconic setup with coil taps, a phase switch, a baritone and a defeatable active preamp. This electronics package continues to this day on higher-end models. The seagull shape was uncomfortable for some to play due to the sharp upper point and the sharp lower point that dug into the leg sitting down. It was redesigned several times, including a smoother lower point, a junior version with simpler electronics, and a pointless version which is quite rare. Finally it morphed into the eagle shape with no sharp points. Serial numbers began as a stamped 6-digit number starting with the year and ending with the number of production. Most references to BCR serialization miss this point. Beginning in 1976, the numbers started with the year, then the number of production. Since more than 1,000 guitars were produced many years, the numbers became increasingly inaccurate through the 1980s, ending up about 4 years behind. After the company was purchased by Class Ax in 1989, production of the handmade, neck-through models was halted for several years, although GMW supplied some stock made from rejected then repaired bodies and built through the years. After Class Ax took over, there were a number of different serial schemes designated for the American, Asian and bolt-on guitars. Eagle. This model was made popular by Brad Whitford of Aerosmith. Neil Giraldo also played his eagle on some of her early albums and videos. Mockingbird. The B.C. Rich Mockingbird was designed by Johnny A. Go-Go. It was made popular by Joe Perry of Aerosmith. The Mockingbird model experienced a resurgence in the early 90s through Guns N' Roses lead guitarist / after he played one on the Use Your Illusion World Tour. The Bic. The most popular of the B.C. Rich line is the B.C. Rich Bic 10-string model. The Bic 10-string guitar was the brainchild of Neil Moser. During the late 1960s, Moser worked with musicians including Jimi Hendrix, and Stephen Stills of Crosby, Stills and Nash. Neil worked as a subcontractor for Bernie Rico from 1974 to 1985. During his time with B.C. Rich, he conceived, designed, and built the first Bic 10-string prototype guitar. The Bic guitar was never owned by Bernie Rico B.C. Rich. The design was licensed to B.C. Rich under contract with Neil Moser. A lawsuit filed by Neil Moser against Hanser Holdings International B.C. Rich resulted in Moser Custom Guitars and HHI B.C. Rich both having the right to produce their own version of the Rich Bic style guitar. Neil Moser retains ownership of the original body templates. The Moser Custom Shop Moser 10 and the B.C. Rich Bic PMS models are the closest representations of the original pre-1985 B.C. Rich Bic body design. The Moser 10 models have an M inlay on the headstock, compared to the HHI B.C. Rich or headstock inlay. The Bic can also be categorized as a guitar that brings out heavy metal in such genres. B.C. Rich Bic PMS 10-string prototype to celebrate the 25th anniversary release of the Rich Bic 10-string guitar, HHI B.C. Rich contracted the original B.C. Rich luthiers Neil Moser and Sal Gonzalez to produce 25 true hand-built reproductions of the original prototype to the Bic 10-string model. These hand-carved wonders were built off of Neil Moser's original 1978 body templates, using the same exotic woods as the original prototype model. Due to contract issues between Neil Moser and Hanser Holdings International, only 16 of the PMS models were produced. These have become highly prized by BC Rich collectors due to the limited production number. These limited edition models are considered to represent the last of the true BC Rich guitars. The original prototype is currently owned by Dan Lawrence. Warlock the introduction of the BC Rich Warlock model in the early 1980s helped push BC Rich into the heavy metal music genre. Notable early players included Mick Mars and Nicky Six of Ma Paragraphed Lee Cra 1/4 E, Lita Ford, Paul Stanley of Kiss, Craig Goldie of Dio and Joffrey, and a young pre-Les Paul playing Slash. Its popularity continues with players such as Slayer guitarist Kerry King. The variation on this one, the BC Rich Revenge Warlock, has a maple neck, rosewood fretboard, and a mahogany body, with chrome hardware. Also, it has the authentic Widow headstock. Iron Bird designed by Joey Rico in 1983, the Iron Bird gained some popularity amongst heavy metal guitarists, including Trey Azagthoth of Morbid Angel. The original model had a pointed reverse headstock, whereas the 21st century version has a regular pointed headstock. Acrylic series These guitars are made completely of acrylic and their bodies are transparent, making the electronics inside viewable. The original run of the acrylic models featured a standard bolt-on maple neck with wood headstock, but later models featured an acrylic headstock, matching the same color as the body and making the overall appearance of the guitar more attractive. Acrylic is more dense than most woods, which makes the guitar heavier. In 2006 BC Rich introduced the IT series. In the series the neck is bolted inside the body to look like a neck through, but neck joint is still visible. This combines the elements of both bolt-on and neck-through designs. Like Rickenbacker and Jackson, BC Rich used a neck-through body design in many of their instruments. BC Rich also pioneered the heel-less joint. In addition, they used custom battery-powered active electronics pickups and tone controls inside the guitar. These electronics were originally thought out and designed by Neil Moser. Neil Moser helped with bone-crafted parts and many setups in the custom shop. He added the feet on winged guitars like the Rich Bic, which was one of his designs. Their guitars come in a variety of shapes, ranging from styles which are similar to electric guitar types to unusual styles such as the Fat Bob, which has a body in the shape of a Harley-Davidson gas tank. See also, List of BC Rich guitars. Most Bronze and Platinum series models are bolt-on necks, like Fender. BC Rich also has a large variety of body shapes, including the Warlock, Widow, Mockingbird, Beast, SOB, Eagle, etc. References: This page uses content from GearWiki at BC Rich. The list of authors can be seen in the page history. As with Wikipedia, the text of GearWiki is available under the Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike license. External links: BC Rich official site, Hanser Music Group official site, Bernie Rico Jr. official site, BC Rich on Twitter, BC Rich on Facebook.